that there is actually a battle going on overseas than here in the United States. When you're dealing with domestic use of drones, I think we're pretty confident that this is not an active battlefield here in the United States. And so that's why I have a real concern about it. I don't want drones being used anywhere in our country, because it's clearly not a place where anyone can even make the argument that a war is going on.
If you don't already know, the National ACLU office has a number of staff experts who are just working almost exclusively on this issue. And if you're on Twitter or Facebook, Jamil Jaffer is a real star nationally, and I think some of the most important litigation is coming from his desk.
Thank you.
Hello, Congressman Amash. I'm Victoria Cabot, and I am one of your constituents in the 3rd District. And I'm wondering what you can do for the presumption of innocence to protect that for us, because I feel it's being eroded. And I'm deeply concerned.
I can't see where you're at. Oh, back there, okay. So, thanks. The presumption of innocence just in criminal cases, or?
Well, DNA would be a good example, right? There are more and more state laws being passed right now that would allow for collection of DNA evidence upon arrest before anybody's actually been convicted of a crime.
Yeah, I'm totally against that. I actually think our state legislature passed such a thing a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and they probably only had a few no votes, I would imagine. This was before I was there, otherwise I would have been a no vote on that. It's, you know, it's totally unlawful, in my opinion, to collect DNA from someone upon arrest, because they are just storing this stuff, and I don't think that's an appropriate process. Someone is innocent until they're proven guilty, and collecting and storing their DNA is a problem. There are people who are not charged with a crime and they have their DNA stored, to be clear.
So I should, just in case you don't know, there are actually regulations that were passed in 2005 by the Department of Justice that gives the federal government power to collect DNA samples from anyone arrested in order to expand something called the Combined DNA Index System. So you could get right on that.
All right, we'll take a look at that.
Congressman Amash, I'm one of your constituents who reads all of your Facebook postings, have since you first started, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, and I am a strong supporter for many years of both Senator Levin and Senator Stabenow, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that both voted in favor of the NDAA, and when I read some explanations of both of them and others, I'm a little bit confused, because they would like me to believe that United States citizens are protected under the NDAA, when my own personal belief is, you know, we're not protected. So have you had explanations from any of your Democratic colleagues in the House as to why they think it might protect us?
Yeah, I don't know what specific section they're citing, but it's clear that the NDAA allows the federal government to indefinitely detain anyone, including U.S. citizens, right here on American soil without charging them with a crime or giving them a trial. I think some of them might fall back on you know, some argument that the NDAA itself doesn't change the law, that it's been existing practice, and so they're not really violating the Constitution. And I don't know, they often come up with obscure arguments for why it's okay, but one thing to know about the way the NDAA was written is that it expands the ability for the government to detain anyone, including Americans, while claiming that it simply affirms existing law. So the bill simultaneously expands the law, yet claims that it's an affirmation of existing law. So it's disingenuous right in the bill itself.
Congressman Amash, given your background, I'd be curious to know how you feel about the erosion of the civil liberties of the Palestinians in the West Bank. And I'm no fan of Benjamin Netanyahu. And what do you feel can be done to prevent Israel from building these illegal settlements in the West Bank and being an obstacle to peace?
Well, any solution that comes out of Israel and Palestine has to be something that is negotiated between the parties over there. It can't be imposed from the outside. And we've seen what happens when the United States or the United Nations or other countries impose particular solutions on countries, telling them to have particular borders. It always leads to chaos. And many of the problems in the Middle East that exist today are because you have imposed outside solutions on people who don't actually want to make peace yet. But with that said, I don't support expansion of settlements in the West Bank. I think there needs to be a more open system over there where the people trade with each other and get to know each other and find a peaceful solution. But it can't be imposed from the outside.
Hello, my name is Tom Burke. I live right here in the neighborhood. I'm a anti-war organizer and a Palestine solidarity activist. And 2.5 years ago in Grand Rapids, the FBI followed me the same morning they raided the homes of 7 of my friends in Chicago and Minneapolis. We had all organized actually the protest against the RNC in St. Paul, Minnesota. That's what we all had in common. So 23 of us were subpoenaed to a grand jury in Chicago, convened under Barry Jonas, the assistant U.S. attorney there. And he's the one who did the Holy Land 5 case, which put 5 Palestinian men in prison, one of them for 65 years, for running a charity. And so what I want to ask is how you can support us in stopping the FBI repression of political activists. I would also like to get off the SSS list when I go to fly every time I speak out of town. They know me very well at the airport now because they've all checked me again and again. But I have no idea how to get off that list, you know. And Jonas says the investigation is ongoing. I don't know how long it will last, 8 years, 10 years. You know, it's a lot of pressure when they're threatening to put you in jail for 15 years for supporting terrorism.
Yeah, the simplest answer is I don't know, but it's something that my office will take a look at, and I will follow up with them.
I'd like to go back to DOMA for a second, since it was broached earlier. You say that you believe marriage is a private religious institution, and yet the government provides benefits to those who are legally married, not limited to government insurance benefits for government employees, Social Security survivors benefits, immigration, and finally joint tax returns. I guess my question to you is, how can you support the idea that we should not redefine marriage on a legal scale when marriage does have legal implications? And I think that leaving it to states to decide ultimately divides the nation in ways that we really can't afford. We need to stand together on civil liberties as basic as human relationships recognized by the government.
Yeah, to be clear, I don't support having marriage be part of the law, whether it's for any of the particular benefits you're talking about. I would try to make the law marriage neutral.
Thank you.
So there.
You know, the time, Amash, the time is 8:08. I don't know when you have to leave. How much time?
We can go to a couple more questions.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Abigail Noble. I've supported you since your first campaign, and thank you so much for staying in Congress.
Thanks.
I wonder if you'd like to comment on the Vern Verdine freedom of speech issue.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Vern Verdine is the man who has the free speech issue in Gaines Township right now. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I don't know the details of it.
Okay. He has the 2 semis with the signs about socialism, Marxism, hunger, and he's being prosecuted for having political signs outside of political season?
Just talk, where's our West Michigan Regional Attorney, Mary Mockerman? Mary, stand up, speak to that woman.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Klaus has questions.
Amash, it's Adrienne Urban. We've campaigned for you from the beginning. I have two questions, if it's okay. First is, I really appreciate how you disclose everything on the internet, and I follow you, and I appreciate that, and I do agree with what you're saying, that it puts more information out there. But I am concerned at the same time, and wonder what your thoughts are, that it seems with everybody getting a lot more information, there's people who have upstanding ways of getting information out, and then it would also be at the same time just as easy to put wrong information out, where people are, whether you want to call it dumbed down or believe things that are not correct, or maybe even if you want to use the term brainwash, that would be just as easy. And then I also, to tack on to the statement you just made about marriage being you're marriage neutral, could you qualify or clarify what that means?
Sure, I can talk about the second one first. I, for example, would not support, to me and to, I think, most people, marriage is a personal, private issue. And I would not support our tax laws connected to any of our other personal issues, whether it's, did your child have a communion? Was your child baptized? Are you married? Those to me are personal issues. And I say this also as a Christian conservative, that I don't think the government should be involved with our personal matters like that. I think it's very dangerous. Does that clarify it enough for you on that one? I can't hear it.
Maybe, but it's helpful.
The first question was?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
Oh, the putting out false information. I have to deal with people doing that every day, putting out false information. The memos we generally get, in Congress are very often misleading or missing some information. The goal, of course, is to provide one side of it really heavily so that you will vote along with your party. The same thing happens, of course, in the media. So you'll often have Fox News presenting one side of it very strongly. It doesn't mean that they're lying. It just means that they are they're holding back some of the truth. And MSNBC does the same thing, and in my opinion, worse than Fox does. And CNN is the same thing. So my opinion is that you should try to get your news from as many sources as possible. Try to get your information from as many sources as possible. Don't believe any of them 100%. Be really skeptical about things. And I know it's a bit unnerving to live your life like that, skeptical of things, but I think it's actually healthier. There's so many people I run into who heard something on TV, whether it's on Fox News or MSNBC, and they believe it wholeheartedly, when it doesn't have any basis in reality. Sometimes I'll be actually in the Capitol and in my office, and I'll have the TV on, and I'll see the ticker, or I'll see some headline, and it will talk about what's being discussed in Congress. And I'm like, no, that's not being discussed. That's not happening right now. Or it'll say, so-and-so said this, or so-and-so believes that. And I'm like, no, that's just not true. It's just made up. Yet that's reported as news all the time. So you have to get your news and information from as many sources as possible. You don't. When you look at my Facebook page and I give vote explanations, you don't have to take it at face value. Look at what I say and look at what other people say. Look at the bill if you can, if it's something that really concerns you, and try to analyze for yourself and think about it.
And in fact, that's probably a good note for us to wind down on. The ACLU is a nonpartisan organization. We work very hard to stay very true to our mission and to our values. And sometimes that means that We are working in coalitions that may be surprising. We, as I think Wynn said earlier, like to defy expectations, but we really appreciate it when somebody like Congressman Amash will come. Next week we're going to have Michelle Obama. Just kidding. So that would be really fun.
We could have us on together.
We could have. So I think on that note, we'll wind it down. Thank you all so much for